In many cases, parents make poor choices, and we tend to go with the most convenient option available at any given time. And this is especially true when young people live a life that's too quick. We are taken away by our emotions, which prevents us from thinking clearly. This is the story of Irene, a young woman of 15 years old who resides in the city of Los Angeles Serena in the country of Chile. She lived with her parents, who were merchants who were in the business of buying and selling houses. She was the youngest of 3 children. They appeared to be doing exceptionally well in this area. In spite of her young age, Irene had a very strong personality, and she was frequently sneering at the servants in her house, telling them things like, "Now you unfortunate, get to work cleaning. Is there anything more you can do?" It goes without saying that at school, every time her teachers expressed dissatisfaction with her, everyone remained silent and said nothing negative about her. She was a privileged young lady, to say the least. She stopped by to have fun with her pals on a regular basis, and she made a lot of new acquaintances, and if she so desired, she could even put them to bed. Eventually, she became disinterested in them and threw them out of her life. Her parents, who were quite concerned about her well-being, were at a loss as to what to do with her. Since she graduated from high school, most of her classmates have gone on to college, and she simply wanted to party and party some more. As a result, 6 months have passed. Irene's parents became tired of supporting a daughter who was not bound by any commitments, and they told her, "We are fed up with simply supporting you and doing nothing to improve yourself in life." With responsibilities comes accountability. You'll take out the rubbish, clean your room, and assist in the kitchen. However, you must take action immediately or we may confiscate your vehicle and credit card. That's what Irene's father, Mr. Gennaro, had to say about her. Irene, who has been enraged since Monday because she doesn't want to lose all the privileges that her parents have granted her, will begin sweeping the house. She's expected to assist in the kitchen and above all, to dispose of rubbish. The cleaning lady was always the responsible for opening the door of the house in case someone came. But eventually she stopped, and that became the responsibility of Irene. One day the doorbell rang, and she responded by asking, "What do you want?" "Greetings, miss. Is Mr. Gennaro in there? His instructions were for me to come by and pick up the garbage." Irene was taken aback when she saw the young man, who was approximately the same age as her. He was a really attractive man, and she just told him, "Let's see, wait," and she greeted him with a coquettish smile. Julio was the name of the young man. He was Colombian, but he couldn't find a job in Chile, so he went to work as a garbage collector in the neighborhood. Slowly but steadily, the two became buddies, and there was even a taste involved. Mr. Gennaro only wanted his daughter to understand that life is difficult, and that one must always put in effort. It would take a few months before Irene would be able to go on a date with Julio and fulfill her most cherished fantasy. Instead, make use of it, and then say, "Until next time, bye-bye." Following their sexual encounter, Irene was no longer interested in Julio. She didn't pick up the phone when he called, and the girl, in order to keep Julio from picking up the garbage at her house, made the decision to attend college full-time. Her father, who was aware of what transpired with Irene, was overjoyed since he believed that his daughter had received a valuable lesson. After that, 3 months had elapsed. In addition, Irene did not have a period. She thought to herself, terrified, "I'm going to die." What exactly happened? I was taking good care of myself. At that time, it appears that the strategy Irene was employing had not been successful for her. She was going to take the test and find out if she was truly pregnant. At that point, she called her best friend, to whom she expressed her feelings as follows. "Sandra, I'm expecting a child, my friend, and with the young man who came to my house to collect the garbage." When Irene came up with a plan, she shared it with her father and explained, "Dad, I'm going to live with Sandra, because we both went to the same university." Irene, ever attentive, shared the following with her friend, "I'm not interested in this child. I'm under pressure, and I do not need this child." And Sandra's response would be, "Don't do anything, friend. Keep him and place him up for adoption." Sandra had told Irene what she needed to hear, and she agreed. After some time had gone, Irene would get one of the most heartbreaking news she'd ever received. In addition, she suffered the tragic loss of her parents in a car accident. She was filled with remorse. It was the first time she'd ever say goodbye to them. She looked down at her stomach and murmured, "It's all your fault, really. I don't want you to be a part of me. I've already decided that I want you to be born and given away." Irene would choose to carry her pregnancy in this manner because she was depressed. She only wanted to give birth and then return to her home and her country. Sandra, on the other hand, would feel sorry for herself and get the guts to search for the young man. the rubbish collector, and say, "Hello, I'm Irene's friend, and I'm not surprised you don't recognize me. I have something I need to share with you." Irene is expecting a child, and it's her son. She wishes to get rid of the child. "I'll let you know as soon as I find out what she's planning to do next." Sandra was confident that she'd made the proper decision, while Giulio, who was heartbroken, only had to wait for the birth of that tiny baby and then take care of him. They would continue their studies at the university, and 9 months would pass before they returned home, and Irene would begin to experience excruciating pain. Sandra picked her up and drove her to the hospital, and after 2 hours, a baby named Jesus was brought into the world. "He's really a handsome and healthy baby who looks a lot like his father." Sandra would tell her acquaintance the following: "You have given birth to a beautiful boy. He's really attractive, and he's been given the name Jesus." On the second day, Irene was escorted out of the clinic by her friend Sandra. Furthermore, they placed the kid in a box and dumped him in a corner where there was a lot of garbage. When Giulio arrived to meet his kid, he would immediately pull him out of the box and break down in tears when he saw how badly Irene's heart had been damaged. In the morning, Giulio picked up his kid and drove to his house, where he had purchased some clothes for him, a bathtub, and other necessities for a newborn. The days were ticking away, and thank God Jesus grew up to be a decent human being. He would apply to university when he was 18 years old, and because of his excellent grades, he would be awarded a scholarship that would allow him to attend without having to spend a single thing. After school and before work, he volunteered to assist his father at his business. His mobility had been severely limited due to severe osteoarthritis in both of his knees, which made it impossible for him to walk. Irene was no longer a straightforward educator. She was now the director of the university where Jesus was pursuing his studies. When Jesus had a meeting at the university due to his grades, Irene wouldn't let him into her office because of the way he was dressed, so he ended up going without. After some time had gone, the moment of graduation would arrive and Jesus would receive excellent grades. However, when Irene noticed that she had arrived alone with a frail guy in a wheelchair, she would remark to him, "Hey Jesus, who is this beggar? You don't have any other relatives. Who is this scruffy-looking jerk? I won't allow you to talk about my father in that way." Jesus was extremely resentful, said to Irene. Irene simply shrugged her shoulders and went away. After an hour had elapsed, they would begin delivering the titles to the students. Jesus was awestruck by the beauty of architecture. He'd received high honors at the end of his studies, and when it came time for them to present him with the medal, he refused to acknowledge the fact that the director had presented it to him. In this particular instance, he just informed her, "My father, who rescued me from the garbage, is the one who should be presenting me with this award. You, Miss Irene, were the one who abandoned me in the rubbish corner beside the garbage bins. It's because of my father that I am who I am." Irene, who had been terrified, was taken aback, and she asked Jesus, "Who told you that?" She exclaimed, "Sandra shared the story with my father, Giulio. He's my biological father, and despite the fact that he's a basic garbage collector, he assisted me. What about you? That was not something you did." Irene, distraught, begged Jesus for forgiveness. But nothing was ever the same after that moment. He just responded with, "You're so snarky when you talk about my father."